I got the Ravens beating the Bears. I got the Bengals beating the Jets, and the Packers are going to beat the leader in the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
So the AFC North is going to be
I'm starting to feel like I'm back at Bustin' headquarters and Will Compton's putting together a parlay for me and looking at me going, no way, this doesn't hit right now. Yes, if all of those things happen, then that division will be in shambles. I think the Bengals, when they play the Jets, they need to wear all black at that stadium because it's a funeral for the Jets.
Oh, God.
When it comes to the Ravens, I have a very difficult time seeing them win that game, especially if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. The Bears defense is playing very well. They're the most takeaways in the NFL, and that run game has stepped up to a whole new level. And then finally, the Packers versus the Steelers. I love a great storyline. I got Aaron Rodgers, so I do not see this happening, Will Compton.
We'll see. I mean, if those teams keep winning.
Circle back. Next week.
There was no more significant, Dan Graziano said earlier this week, there was no more significant result in the league this season than Cincinnati beating Pittsburgh last Thursday night. It kept the division, to your point, within reach for everybody. Maybe this weekend it starts to flip. Okay, that's take number one. What's take number two, Will Compton?
People need to start considering Christian McCaffrey, CMC, at the top of the MVP conversation. Last week, he had 120-plus yards on the ground, over 70 reception yards, 62% of his team's yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
No other player has done that this season, and right now he leads the league in attempts, yards from scrimmage.
What else?
And right now he's on pace to break his own receptions record with 128 is what the pace is currently.
All of those stats sound fantastic. When I think about the MVP, I think of what player is doing more for their team than anybody else in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey with all of those stats. I can agree with that. We need to put him in the conversation. Kyle Shanahan also needs to be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
I agree. He's doing his best coaching job right now, what he's doing with Mac Jones. I thought Saquon should have been the MVP last year. We've just turned it into a quarterback award the way we did with the Heisman. It doesn't sit well with me. I think McCaffrey should be in the conversation. I think Jonathan Taylor should be on the conversation, what he's doing in Indiana. All right, the last one. Give me one more take, Compton.
Cowboys are spicy right now. They got CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, both healthy, both operating, but I think they go out to Denver this weekend, and I think Denver whoops them.
Whoops them. What do you say, Luan?
That is spicy. I watched the Denver Broncos tape versus the Giants, and the Denver Broncos defense didn't look as good or as highly touted as people say they are. I personally have the Dallas Cowboys taking a next step. I mean, obviously their offense has been incredible. And if their defense can't be elite or dominant, but let's just go for the title average. If I can look Dan Orlovsky in the eyes and he gives me a one-liner and go, Cowboys, average defense.
Right.
If he can say that in a couple weeks, I think the Cowboys are contenders.
For sure. And one of the big reasons why, or two of the big reasons why, is the dynamic duo that they have at wide receiver. You want to make an argument the Cowboys have the best receivers in the NFL? You certainly could do it. They took the risk trading for George Pickens, and boy, has it worked out. Pickens is 6th in the league in receiving yards per game. CeeDee Lamb, despite the injuries, is right behind him at 7. So if you think Pickens is going to be overlooked with Lamb back, last week Pickens still had 80 receiving yards. Lamb had over 100. That offense was absolutely cruising last week, albeit against a struggling Commanders defense. Hawk, this topic came up with us on Sunday Countdown. I'll ask it to you. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, is that the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the entire NFL?
They're the best duo in the NFL, and somebody close to me said it's not even close. When you think about the other duos in the league, you go Devontae and Puka, who play the position really well, seasoned wide receivers. The difference for CD and George is they can score, take it the distance on any play from all 99 yards. That is a deep threat. That is run after catch. That is intermediate. They are young. They have juice. They are fast. They make contested catches. It makes it easy on Dak. This is what you dreamed about when you heard that the Cowboys were trading for George Pickens, and it's coming to fruition in a really, really big way for them.
Yeah, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is another pair, another duo that would be considered.
Yeah, they're
Why
great.
are you
Listen,
laughing?
this isn't close right now.
He was the person that was close.
This is by far the best duo.
Dan.
It's the best three-headed monster in the NFL if you put Ferguson in there.
You're saying it's not even close.
Not even close right now. Dude, when was the last time you watched George Pickens get covered one-on-one on the outside?
No, I feel
It's a
you,
joke
but
right
the fact
now.
that you're like this, this is not even close. It's like you got Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua out there in LA. Like, they're not even close.
Not right now. And I love what the Rams are doing. One, Devontae and Matthew just got on the same page last week. They had been missing consistently, and a lot of it was just red zone stuff last week, like goal line, okay? What's happening in Cincinnati, the context of the quarterback has to be a part of this conversation. It can't just be one-on-one. They're historical right now. There's no three-headed monster right now, like what Dallas has right now. And the receivers, I'll go back to this. When was the last time George got covered one-on-one on the outside? And then CD does whatever he wants at times. Right now, this is by far the best duo.
How about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who won a Super Bowl last year? Our friend A.J. Brown again. I know that they're not putting up the numbers, but that's a pretty good duo there in Philadelphia as well. I don't know you could say that these guys are head and shoulders better than anybody.
So let's circle back.
I agree that they're the best. All I'm saying is you're like, it's not.
Let's circle back. It doesn't matter.
I think they're the best.
Whether they're the best or not, notwithstanding. The offense is obviously ridiculously dynamic. Dak Prescott is having an MVP caliber. He's having the best season of his outstanding career. And so as they get set to go to Denver, I had a split over here on who they think is going to win. And Shefty, speaking of splits, you've got numbers.
Here's the one thing to keep in mind about the Dallas Cowboys, who have been dominant at home. And when you play them at Jerry's World, you are in for it all day. But when they go on the road, they're just not the same team as they're home. Look at some of the numbers and the difference when they play at home compared to when they play on the road. At home, they're averaging over 41 points per game this season. Away, over 24. You see the total yards. There's almost a 100-yard difference per game. So you're talking about 16 points, 100 yards per game, and now you're going into Denver to play a tough defense. Again, Dallas is a great watch. They might have the best wide receiver 10 in the league, and that's not close.
Not close.
Yeah. But on the road, they're not the same team.
So is this offense, the comparison's been made here. We can put the picks up on the screen this early if you want to. I think it's worth having as part of the context of the conversation. And Dan, I see you like the Broncos. The comparison I'm making is to what Joe Burrow and the Bengals had last year. The offense was so good.
Yeah.
The defense was so bad that even he couldn't drag them into the playoffs. If the Eagles start to show some signs of vulnerability, and I think Sunday will be a big step towards that, if they take care of business against the Giants, I'll feel better about them. Is the offense in Dallas good enough to get this team into contention in the division? They can't do it.
No, this offense.
The defense is that bad?
Well, yes, but the defense was different this past week. As well. Like the Cowboys are kind of like the Eagles in that regard. The defense did things differently this past week than they did this for the most of this season. Like way more aggressive, way more man coverage, way more blitzing, and that was without Trayvon. Yeah, so like if that defense plays a little bit stylistically or schematically different, we have to see what that looks like over the course of the season. Overshown coming back, Trayvon's going to come back. So if they do things differently, then I'm a little bit more inclined to say that the defense isn't as bad as it was to start the year.
This week is going to be the test that really tells us, Greeny, because those wide receivers that people aren't even close to, they're going against Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain. So if they have those kind of weeks against them, then it's solidified. And then also when you have the context of where the Commanders are, their defense, run defense, pass defense
is just as bad as the Cowboys.
They're bad. And then on the offensive side, they were out of all their weapons. So yes, it's a good week for the Cowboys to look great on both sides of the ball. The Broncos would be the real test.
So that feels to me like really the question. We watch what the Giants just did in Denver this week. I mean, the Giants dominated that game for 48 minutes or whatever it was, and then it turned into one of the most, the craziest games that you've seen in the NFL in a very long time. It's sort of an interesting litmus test for the Broncos as well. If they're going to be legit, if they're going to make a run at a Kansas City team that suddenly looks like they may be the best in the entire NFL, then you win this game, right? Carolina beat the Cowboys at home. The Broncos, if they're going to be legit, as you say, Will, they win this game.
Absolutely, and I think this is a get-back spot for that defense because the New York Giants had a lot of success. I love watching this defense on film. The way they take away your best players, the way they pass things off in zone, the way they communicate. You mentioned Moss and Surtain. Like, this defense is for real, like what, most pressures, most sacks in the league. This is a get-back spot for the Broncos, and I love that they are playing against the Cowboys offense because they are good.
Here's the thing about the Cowboys. One, the most important person in that game is Ferguson. Two, if they want to matter, they got to get a difference maker in their front seven.
Okay, let me pause everybody here because I'm told that we have very significant breaking news to share this morning. We opened the show this morning with highlights from the NBA. They had a great night last night. They are waking up this morning in the middle of a nightmare. Breaking news from the league. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have been arrested as part of the FBI's investigation into sports betting. Details are still coming in as we speak. You may be following this. Shams has a bunch of it on his Twitter if you're looking at that, and we are collecting and aggregating the information as much as we can, and we'll bring it to you as quickly as we possibly can in a responsible way. The situation that we know as far as Rozier, the core of his arrest is a March 2023 game that saw an uptick in Rozier bets coming in on the under. He left that game just 9 minutes in, citing a foot injury. He had previously not been accused of any wrongdoing. This is the same FBI probe that led to Toronto Raptors center Jontay Porter being banned from the league. So once again, we have 2 arrests that we are aware of this morning. We will have the very latest as we continue all morning long. We will follow this and bring you the latest.
you.